Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a seriously high-stakes reality that plays out literally every single day in the tech industry. Salary negotiations. Look, if you've ever felt completely in the dark about how offers are actually built at places like Google, Meta, or Amazon, you are definitely not alone. So today, we're cracking open the exact playbook tech recruiters use behind the scenes, and we're giving you the strategies you need to really advocate for yourself. To understand just how critical this is, picture this scenario for a second. We've got two software engineers. They both interview for the exact same role at a major tech company. They have the same education, the exact same years of experience, and their interview performances were completely identical. They even received their job offers on the exact same day. Now, candidate A accepts immediately, but candidate B, they decide to negotiate. So, what's the result? A massive $60,000 difference. Yep. 60 grand. Candidate A accepted a package worth $185,000, while candidate B walked away with a package worth $245,000. And listen, the difference here wasn't their technical skill, and it certainly wasn't luck. It was purely an understanding of the recruiter's internal process and how these compensation decisions are made behind closed doors. That gap right there sets the massive financial stakes for what we're looking at today.
Okay, let's dive into this playbook. Today, we're going to cover the cost of accepting early, inside compensation bands, decoding total compensation, the negotiation script, and finally, pulling alternative levers.
Section 1. The cost of accepting early.
The absolute biggest mistake candidates make right out of the gate is saying those 5 little words. Sounds good. I'll accept. Look, when the recruiter finally gives you the numbers, it is incredibly tempting to just blurt this out, right? You're relieved, you're excited, you just want to lock the whole thing in. But accepting an initial offer immediately is a massive pitfall. Why? Because the very second you say those words, you lose all your leverage. You basically prevent yourself from ever knowing if there was room to improve the package.
So you really have to ask yourself, did you just leave money on the table? Because the psychology of negotiation actually starts right here. The reality is that recruiters are given budgets, sure, but they rarely, if ever, lead with their absolute maximum. Their goal is to present a fair offer that fits internal company policies while retaining a bit of a buffer. They want to close the deal with you, absolutely, but they also have to answer to a comp team. If you just jump at that very first number, you are more than likely leaving potential earnings behind in that buffer.
Section 2. Inside compensation bands.
Now, to negotiate effectively, we really need to shift our focus to how tech companies actually calculate these initial offers in the first place. It's not just some random number pulled out of thin air, right? They use what are called compensation bands. Think of these as pre-approved salary ranges for specific levels and specific locations. And within these bands, there is built-in flexibility. It depends on your interview performance, your specialized skills, internal pay equity, and even if you have competing offers on the table. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is that the initial offer you receive is merely a starting point somewhere inside this band. It is almost never a fixed ceiling.
Section 3. Decoding total compensation.
Okay, so once we know we're operating inside a flexible band, we have to look way beyond just the base salary to understand your true earning potential. So many candidates get entirely fixated on that first slice, the base salary, but total compensation includes the whole shebang. We're talking annual performance bonuses, signing bonuses, retirement benefits, healthcare, and crucially, equity or restricted stock units. In fact, what's really interesting here is that for senior engineering, product, or data science roles at top-tier companies, equity can actually become the dominant part of your long-term compensation.
Let's actually put this into perspective with 2 hypothetical offers. Offer A gives you a $170,000 base salary, but pretty minimal equity. Offer B, on the other hand, has a slightly lower base at $165,000, but it comes with a much larger equity grant and a hefty signing bonus. Now, if you're only looking at the base salary, you choose Offer A in a heartbeat. But experienced candidates, they evaluate the whole pie. Depending on company performance and how that stock value vests over a multi-year period, Offer B could ultimately be worth substantially more over time.
Section 4. The negotiation script.
So you know there's a band, and you're looking at total compensation. But how do you actually practically ask for more? Well, first off, whatever you do, never say, "I need more money." Just don't do it. It's demanding, it's adversarial, and it completely ignores the collaborative psychology of the whole hiring process. Remember, your negotiation requests are going to be reviewed by compensation teams and your future hiring manager. You want to show them that you're a thoughtful, professional communicator who gets how their internal systems work.
Instead, the ultimate negotiation script follows 4 incredibly professional steps.
First, you express gratitude and enthusiasm for the role. Second, you ask about flexibility within the overall package. Third, you pause. And fourth, you state your market-backed expectations. Let's look a little closer at how this actually plays out in a real conversation.
After you ask about flexibility by saying something like, "Before I make my final decision, I'd like to discuss whether there's flexibility within the overall compensation package," you absolutely must pause. Literally, just stop talking. I know, silence feels incredibly uncomfortable in the moment, but it is a critical conversational tactic. You have to let the recruiter respond. You're giving them the floor to acknowledge your request before you pitch your actual numbers.
Then, after they respond, you move right into step 4. Here is the exact phrasing you can use. Based on my experience, the responsibilities of this role, and current market compensation for similar positions, I was hoping we could explore a package closer to the top end of the approved range. This approach is honestly brilliant. Why? Because it clearly sets expectations, it relies on objective market data, and it is completely collaborative, rather than coming off as aggressive.
Section 5. Pulling alternative levers. But wait, what happens if a recruiter flat out tells you the base salary is strictly fixed due to internal constraints or pay equity rules? Does that mean the negotiation is just over? Absolutely not. This is when you pivot to advanced tactics and pull alternative levers. You can ask, well, if base salary is fixed, would there be flexibility in the signing bonus or maybe the equity portion of the package? You can negotiate for relocation assistance. You can push back your start date to reset, request extra vacation time, or even ask for accelerated performance review timing. By shifting to these alternative levers, you keep the whole discussion solution-oriented and you continue working together to increase the total value of your offer. And guys, timing is literally everything here. The absolute strongest time to negotiate is in that golden window right after you receive the written offer, but before you formally accept it. Think about it. By day 30 of the process, the company is fully invested in you. They've spent time, money, and resources interviewing you. You are their top pick. Negotiating respectfully at this precise stage isn't just accepted, it's totally expected, and it's where you have the absolute most leverage.
Let's wrap this up, the negotiation checklist.
To quickly summarize the core principles we've covered in today's explainer, always understand the total package, not just the base salary. Do your homework and research your market rates before you begin. Express genuine enthusiasm for the company. Be specific with your expectations by using the language of compensation bands. And above all else, stay professional and collaborative. These principles don't just win you better compensation, they actually prove to your future employer that you possess strong confidence and elite communication skills before you even walk through the door. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to chew on. Will your next yes cost you $60,000? Salary negotiation isn't about trying to beat the recruiter. It's simply about understanding the process and having a completely professional conversation about your true value. Don't leave your potential on the table. Think critically about these steps before your next offer and take control of your career path. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer, and we will see you next time.